You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
And welcome to another episode of the Scottish Football Zone. And so it's really a quiet show tonight. Nothing to talk about in the world of Scottish football. But then again, it is a comedy festival. I'm only kicking on as well. Joined tonight, as always, by the man himself, Mr. Charlie Knox, and also Robbie Collins. Now, I think one of the guys might be happy tonight, and one of the guys might be a bit how could you put it without swearing? Well, I can't as well. So get your comments coming in. A lot to talk about in the world of Scottish football. Last week we had the fans coming on at the end of the Old Firm Derby last week after the penalty show, and also we had Stephen Robertson's departure of Paisley to Aberdeen as well. So a lot to talk about, guys. First up, I was going to say, how are you, Robbie? But I don't know if that's the right question to ask you.
You've done a brave thing here, Michael, bringing on a St Mirren fan and Aberdeen fan the same show. Only in there, 24 hours after Robinson's announcement to Aberdeen. But I'm doing fine, better than I thought I'd be, to be honest with you. It's been a bit of a whirlwind last 48 hours as a St Mirren fan, I'll be honest. I don't really know how to sum it up yet. It still feels quite new, it still feels quite raw. I'm sure Charlie here's probably quite happy, although there's a lot of unhappy Aberdeen fans, I'll say that, about Robinson's appointment, so it's been a bit of an interesting one, but no, I'm doing better than I thought, Michael.
I think Charlie might be the opposite.
You know what? I'm actually optimistic about the appointment. I mean, whoever it was, I was always going to back anyway, but I think some of the reaction is a bit not needed. As an experienced manager, he's done it in Scotland for a while now. He's been successful at St Mirren. He added obviously a trophy to his already successful time at St Mirren, and I think he always deserved a crack at the job. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was pretty annoyed when I seen it in the morning, but the morning when it was rumoured. But since kind of having time to actually think about it, I don't think it's as bad as some people have made it out to be.
Okay, we will get into that. Oh, that's Paul Donaldson coming in the chat, big Aberdeen fan. He said very mixed reaction for the Aberdeen support, but it doesn't seem like a total panic and immediate reaction from the board. Yeah, I'll put that question to you, Charlie, first before we get Robbie's take on it. Do you think that this fair comment from Paul, and do you think that, I mean, I've been saying for ages on the show, if it doesn't go well, do you think the Aberdeen fans will turn on Dave Cormack?
I think it definitely, for me, is a panic appointment. I think if you were going to hire him, we should have went out and tried to get him in January. And if he accepted it now, I would expect he still would have came in January. So that would have given him time to bring in his own players, get his own squad in, and I could probably guarantee that we'd be in a better position than what we are now. So for me, it was a panic appointment. And if it doesn't go well, I would say there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on the board. There already is a lot of scrutiny on the board, but I think if this one goes really badly, I think there's going to be it's going to get a lot heated up for the board's side of things.
Here's a question to both of you then. Do you think the timing's all wrong? Because, I mean, it's the best thing of the season. St Mirren are fighting for their lives. I think they'll be okay. Maybe after that news, maybe not, because obviously they've got a big game in Sunday against Rangers. But I guess feel as though that maybe at the end of the season, Robbie, fans would be a bit disappointed, but you would still have time to appoint a manager. But to appoint a manager with 9 games to go before the end of the season, something doesn't add up.
I think this is a very big knee-jerk reaction for the board at Aberdeen. I don't think Robinson was first or second choice for this job, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's no way they're bringing guys there for America and all other place to watch games if that's not their main targets. And this wouldn't have happened if Aberdeen had beat Dunfermline at the weekend. I believe that. I stand by that. I don't think Robinson would be in the Aberdeen hot seat right now. I think they would have kept Levine. But they panicked, and they had to panic because they're 9 games away and they could still potentially get relegated. So from an Aberdeen point of view, Michael, it's probably the perfect time to bring Robinson in. You gave him 9 games. He knows what he's doing in this end of the league. He can keep Aberdeen safe, and I'm sure he will keep Aberdeen safe. I have no doubts about that. And then he can kick on in the summer for St Mirren. You're right, it is the worst timing imaginable. We've got a Scottish Cup semi-final against Celtic. We're sitting down in 10th with a very realistic chance, by the way, of finishing 11th. And now we've got Jamie Langfield in charge, who, by the way, does have a 100% record. So we'll see how that goes on Sunday. But no, first, at my point of view, look, it is a bad time. And just in terms of all that, Michael, and all the backlash and everything that every St Mirren fans hit out with, I don't feel the same. I physically can't hate that guy for what he done the last 4 years. And it's, you know, there's some big words being branded around snakes, sort of the main culprit in this. Everybody's sort of hitting it with that. People are saying he's not ambitious. People are saying it's not the right move for him. Well, look, he's earned this crack. He's had 4 very successful years at St Mirren. No matter what you say, every year's been successful under Robinson in some capacity. He's delivered his first major trophy in 13 years. He's delivered his European football for the first time in 40 years. He's got his 3 consecutive top 6s, which no other club outside of Rangers and Celtic managed to accomplish. So whatever you say about that man, he's one of St Mirren's most successful managers ever. He deserves a shot at a big job, and there's no doubt Aberdeen are bigger. Aberdeen have got more fan base, and Aberdeen have got much bigger resources than we could ever throw at Robinson. So for him, it's a very smart move, and for Brian Kerr as well. They both deserve a bigger shot at a bigger club. And I wish him every best of luck. I genuinely do hope he goes early and smashes it. I don't hope that in a couple of weeks when we play Aberdeen right enough. I hope we beat them, but I'm sure Charlie will be thinking the opposite for us. But look, Michael, I get why St Mirren fans can be frustrated, but to instantly hate the man for what he's done the last 4 years to me is absolutely bizarre.
Charlie, same kind of question to you then. Do you think if Aberdeen was in the semi-finals against Celtic, you would not see Robertson near the dugout this weekend?
I think if we beat Dunfermline on Saturday, I kind of agree. I think we would have kept Peter Leaving. I think we could have probably down the line where he went for Stephen Robinson, even if this was maybe a week or 2 later. But if he'd won on Saturday, there would have been, for me, no doubt that he'd still been a job. Look, I don't think he's done a great job since he really took charge of Aberdeen in January time. He's only won 2 games, which were against Rafe and Livingston, and we didn't make easy work of any of the games. I actually like Peter Leaving. I think he's a good coach, but I think some managers some coaches it is hard to take that step up to be that main man. He just hasn't done it this time round. But I agree. I think if there was a win on Saturday and we were in at Hampden, it would still be the Aberdeen interim manager right now.
I disagree with Paul Donaldson's comment there. I don't think Robinson is a relegation manager, and I don't think he's proven that at his time at St Mirren or Motherwell. I think he's a highly ambitious manager himself. I think it's... I don't get me wrong, in terms of Aberdeen, I don't think it's ambitious enough, in my opinion. I think, considering the fact the options that Aberdeen had, you know, they had that guy I mentioned earlier for America coming out to watch the game. But if you actually look at Robinson and the places he's finished, especially with Motherwell finishing 3rd, all places, you know, finishing in that top 3, to me, you're not going to get more ambitious than that in terms of a manager style. And a lot of people as well were sort of going at his style. Look, it doesn't play hoofball. I don't like that brand. I don't like that term. It doesn't stick right with me. And Charlie, you made a very, very good point in a video that I watched earlier. He likes to play direct, and he likes to get up the park quick. He likes to high press, and he likes to win the ball back quickly. He likes to utilise the key players on the pitch, and I'm sure he'll do the same thing with Aberdeen. And if the players and the manager can combine and get it right, then there's no doubt for me he'll be a success at Aberdeen. And I hope it happens for him, to be honest.
Charlie?
You've also got to take into consideration the squad that he's always had at St Mirren. It's not always been unbelievable squad, and he knows how to get the best out of players that maybe aren't at the level to really compete at this level. He knows how to do it. He got the best out of Olasanya, and I think we could maybe see Olasanya kick on for Aberdeen under Stephen Robinson. We've seen last season how good he was and how important he was for St Mirren last season, and I think under Stephen Robinson, I think he'll have a massive part to play with it. And I do think Stephen Robinson always deserved a bigger crack at a job. As much as at the time when the rumours were going about, he wouldn't be my first choice, and I'll stand by the fact that he wouldn't be my first choice. But he is a good manager. The people, I agree with you, Robbie, what you said with the hoofball. It isn't hoofball. It's direct. And he does say he plays exciting football, and I think he can maybe change his system as well. I'd like to see us play more with a 4-back than a 5-back, and I think he said it himself that he'd rather go in with a 4-back as well.
He loves a foot at the back, Robinson. You've seen that in Motherwell in the two finals against Celtic. He goes 4-2-3-1 and goes right for them. Unfortunately, obviously loses both, but I agree. To me, and look, of course, I'm going to be slightly biased because I'm a St Mirren fan. I've watched them for 4 years, but you can see the ambition in Robinson. You can see he wants a crack at a bigger job, and you can see he's got that drive to really do well. I don't. And look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And look, we don't know whether this is going to work out. This is the first proper big crack at a job Robinson's took in Scotland. You know, Motherwell and St Mirren, I like to think, are on similar levels with resources and budgets and all the rest of it. This is the first crack Robinson's took at a sort of so-and-so big job. So nobody really knows how he's going to handle this. And I think if you're looking at his character and the way he likes to talk and all that sort of stuff, then he's a bit of a stick-on, to be honest. For me, he's sort of like McInnes in the way he talks. And we know how McInnes is handling the job at Hearts. So I'd personally be excited if I was an Aberdeen fan, but I could also see why Aberdeen fans would be a bit raging considering how long it's took. If you appointed him 9 weeks ago, I don't think there'd be as much outrage on this.
Robbie, obviously, Graham's saying in the chat, I don't understand Aberdeen going for Robertson, but if Robertson's right, if Aberdeen didn't get humped by confirming last week, I would use maybe a stronger word than that in the flagging night, Graham. For St Mirren, it's a huge loss for St Mirren. Okay, but a question for both of you then, right? In terms of tomorrow, Charlie, you've got a big game against Falkirk, right? Obviously, Falkirk's a very good team, but I think that will give Aberdeen a bit of a bounce for the game tomorrow against Falkirk. And similar question to you in the opposite way, Robbie. I think that will maybe, I don't know if that will deflate the kind of atmosphere on Sunday when you play against Rangers on Sunday, Charlie?
I think 100% it'll give us a bounce going into Saturday's game. It'll be a tough one. Falkirk are obviously a cracking team. They've showed that all season. They had a little blip at the start of the season, but they just couldn't get going. But as soon as they've got going, they've not really stopped. So it'll be tough. But I think I'm a bit excited to see. Well, not excited. Excited is probably the wrong word, but I'm wondering what the atmosphere will be at Pittodrie tomorrow, to see if Robinson gets a kind of nice reception, or if there's a lot of. We've seen it with Lyle Cameron when he first came to Aberdeen. There was banners, not specifically at Lyle Cameron, but it was more just the loans to the Old Firm. I doubt we're going to see that tomorrow, but I've seen a few people on X saying there should be banners about Robinson out, but I just don't get that. The guy, you've got to give him a chance. He's hardly even been in the door yet. He's not even had a game. And even if we do get beat on Saturday, the fact is he's had a few days to prepare. It's going to be hard to really get many preparations going into that game, especially against such a great side like Falkirk as well. But yeah, I think I am quite confident going into Saturday, to be fair.
Robbie, same question, but opposite way to you, I suppose.
Yeah, Charlie, I have been listening to fans call Robinson out for 4 years since he joined the club, so just get used to that. It'll keep happening. But no, for us, Michael, I actually look at it as a positive way. It's time for a fresh start. He's been the manager for 4 years. And don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have him as manager till the end of the season. But this is time now for the players to show that they can catch Aberdeen. This is our main target now. The players should be looking at these run of fixtures, and especially in the leagues, and going, right, well, we're going to show Robinson an example here. If we step up, we show what we're all about. We catch Aberdeen and we overtake Aberdeen. That's a successful season for us. And that shows Robinson what he's missed on. Not to mention that huge Scottish Cup semi-final, which we know we'll probably have a manager in by then. So I think this is an exciting time for St Mirren, because we don't know what we're going to get at the weekend. I reckon he's going to... I can never remember the under-19 coach that we've got next to Langfield, but we've got him in and Langfield for the weekend. I don't know if they're going to take a fresh approach or they're going to keep it simple. I reckon they're probably going to keep it similar to what Robinson done, but this is the time now for the players, and the players who, let's be honest, it's not been a great season for them. They've not been high on morale. They've not been high on confidence. This is the time for them to go out and show what they're all about, and I hope we do that. And just to sort of answer Graham's question quickly, I do think he'll do it. And the only player that springs to mind right now is Miguel Freckleton, because I think he's the best defender at St Mirren. I think he's one of the best defenders in this Premiership. So I think it would be stupid for Robinson maybe not to take a look at him. But I definitely think he'll have his eye on a few
Well,
players.
he done it at Motherwell as well, Robbie.
He did, aye. But, on the flip side of that, Michael, he's maybe taking a look at his bigger resource budget and gone, all right, well, I can maybe go out and scout some better players, because he was working with shoestring budgets at St Mirren and Motherwell. So, aye. Paul, I think I've got every confidence Robinson will survive the relegation playoffs without a doubt. In my mind, I think he'll survive, to be honest. A lot of Aberdeen fans, Charlie, and I don't know what you think about Robinson in general, but a lot of fans seem to think he's a relegation type manager, which you can only base off the facts. He's finished third with Motherwell. He's got them into Europe. He's finished fourth with St Mirren. He's got us into Europe, and he's always been a top six manager. To me, nothing about Robinson suggests that he's a relegation candidate outfit.
Exactly. Like you said it there, he's been top six for most of his career in the SPFL. And I think the only kind of thing that that people actually think that is maybe the style he played, but that's also, people just think it's football, which if you actually watch St Mirren, it's not. It is, look, maybe they set off at time, but of course, with a squad like St Mirren, you're not going to be able to play this kind of unbelievable levels of football. You've just got to be direct. You've got to get the ball into places where it can hurt teams, and that's what St Mirren do really, really well. They've not done it exactly very well this season. They've not scored too many goals this season, but in past years, he's got the record to back up that he can do that, and I think he'll do that really, really well at Aberdeen. I think I'm going back to what Graham said too. I think Aberdeen will take any players. I think Freckleton would be an okay one, but I think Aberdeen have to be aiming higher for me. For me, I think we need to be going out, trying out for better players. That's not to shit to St Mirren players, but I think look at the players we brought in. Like, look, on paper, Stuart Armstrong, these kind of Carlson should be good, better players than what they've came out to be, but they should be the kind of players we're aiming to be able to go out and get.
I definitely don't think Robinson's going to come to Paisley and snatch up Gogic, Phillips. I don't think Aberdeen fans would want Phillips back anyway, Freckleton and all the nonsense. But I genuinely, if I'm looking at our squad and I'm looking at Freckleton, I've said this before on the show, I genuinely think Freckleton could play with any team in this league. And I include the top two in that as well. I include Celtic and Rangers in that discussion. So that's the only target I could see Robinson going for, to be honest with you. But I don't get the Aberdeen hate on him already, and I think it was always going to happen. I knew that getting up himself, I knew the fans were going to be right on his back as soon as he stepped up there, but he's going to prove himself. He's going to prove that he can be this big manager, and if it works out well for him, then he might get a bigger move than that. He's always dreamed of the Northern Ireland role. Of course, he signed a 3-year contract at Aberdeen, so maybe he's eyeing up that Northern Ireland role if this goes well.
Of course, Stephen Robertson was talking to Reg TV yesterday when he was appointed. He said, I'm really proud, really excited, all about the challenge ahead. I think it's something I'm really, really looking forward to. To be honest, all managers say that, to be honest, until they're out the door. He goes on to say it happened very, very quickly. The football club made contact with my agent on I think it was late on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. It moved very quickly from there. So yes, that's how football works. You don't see things coming sometimes, and it was something that I feel I goose knock turned down. Charlie, we used to say football's a beautiful game. Sometimes we call it a funny old game. Football's a business now, Charlie.
It is indeed, and I think I actually don't mind the fact like 3 years. It's a risk for me because you don't know how this is going to turn out. You've seen managers come up to a bigger job, for example. I'm going to go to Jim Goodwin. I know it's a bit different style of plays, but you've seen Jim Goodwin come up to Aberdeen, who actually, believe it or not, started pretty well for Aberdeen, and it just kind of all of a sudden just went downhill. He was on, I think, a shorter contract than what Robinson was given, so it wasn't the end of the world. But I think 3 years is optimistic, but I think maybe that's got to do with Stephen Robinson wouldn't have came if it wasn't a long contract, because he doesn't want to. There would be no reason for him to leave St Mirren if it was for even a 1 or 2 year contract for me.
Let's speak about fun enough to the game tomorrow to talk about, and we haven't talked about that, but the headlines were made off the park tomorrow. What obviously Aberdeen will get a bounce tomorrow off the game. Charlie, what are you expecting from Falkirk?
For a Falkirk side, I think. Look, I think Aberdeen will dominate the game. I actually do, but I think Falkirk, they're great on the counter. They get their wingers and the ball quickly. They've got really, really talented players. Their scouting in the summer has been really, really good. I think one of the best players in the league this season has been Lisa. I think I'm saying that right. Right back, I think he has been unbelievable. Definitely up there for play this season. He's been fantastic. They've just got really just some great hidden gems in that team. Like players that came from League One as well, that came all the way from up there to compete very, very heavily. There's players that were playing at Heriot Watt not long ago, getting talked about going into the Scotland squad. Barney Stewart, who's been fantastic since coming back to Falkirk, and he's now getting talked about being in the Scotland squad. And I wouldn't mind that either. But yeah, I think. Look, I'm confident because the new manager bounced, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen get beat tomorrow, if I'm being honest. But I'm obviously hoping Aberdeen get the win.
I think the main thing I'm taking into it, Charlie, is you can't hate Robinson after one game. That's the main thing I'm taking away. I know people hate him now, and they always will, because he's just one of the managers that people just dislike all the time. But you cannot sack this guy if it's a shaky end to the season. If Aberdeen stay up, which I think they will, you need to stick by Robinson. That's one of the main things. You need to give him time. There's been too many of these managers that have come in, and I don't see Robinson being the same as Goodwin. I'd be very, very surprised if it worked out the same way. I think Robinson can give me a consistency long term, which is what Aberdeen need. But in the short term, you need to give him time, and that's one of the main things I'm taking into it. So I definitely think he can get a result against Falkirk. I don't think they're unbeatable, though sometimes they play that way. I mean, they've been playing like it fairly recently, but Aberdeen and Pittodrie, it's a tough place for any team to go. But when you've got a good balance there, so it'll be an interesting game, certainly.
Graham said about who do you want to see in charge of St Mirren. We'll go into that in a minute or two. Barney Stewart, you mean Charlie, he's been a brilliant thing for Falkirk this season. In fact, I think this is not his second season with Falkirk. Playing with Heriot Watt University a few seasons ago, and just come in and took like a duck to water as well. We've got some breaking news. We like to tell you some breaking news on the show. No, I'm not retiring. I'm too young for that yet. Maybe, I don't know. That's why I'm losing my hair at the top. So we will give you some breaking news in a wee minute or two. But what's your predictions in this one? Robbie, I have a feeling that you'll go 7-0 to Falkirk tomorrow.
No, I'm going very optimistic. I'm going to go Aberdeen start off under Robinson perfectly. I'm going to go Aberdeen 2, Falkirk 1.
I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna predict an Aberdeen loss, so I'm gonna go 1-0 though.
1-0.
1-0 all this, you know, it's got 1-0 all this thing I've written.
Last minute winner.
Yeah, so I will go. So Charlie came back this week because I predicted the Aberdeen. Oh no, never actually. That was one of my. Oh no, it wasn't my kind of like banana skin. Anyway, I will go 2-1 to Aberdeen tomorrow, just because of the feel good factor about the place as well. So there you go. Aberdeen against Falkirk, and it'll probably end up a 0-0 game after us building up to be the wonderful game of the weekend. We'll talk about St Mirren in a minute or two. They take on Rangers on Sunday, but Robbie has got breaking news about the kickoff times for the Cup semi-finals, Robbie.
Yeah, so they've finally been set. I've been waiting on this to see when both teams are going to go head to head. So on the Saturday, 18th of April, it will be Dunfermline v Falkirk kicking us off for the weekend. That game will kick off at 12:30 on the Saturday. So a bit of an early one for Dunfermline and Falkirk. I'm already seeing fans that aren't particularly too happy, and I don't blame them, to be fair. And then the Sunday, the 19th, Celtic versus St Mirren will kick off at 2 p.m. So two very different, interesting kick-off times. I don't particularly see Dunfermline and Falkirk being happy, but they'll still take a good figure out into hand. And then obviously Celtic v St Mirren on Sunday, it sort of writes itself in there.
Yeah, TV talks now as well. I'm still waiting for a game to kick off at 2 in the morning. And that'll be exciting. Right, and it might not happen now if it was between Rangers and Celtic. Anyway, let's move swiftly on. I don't know why I went down that road, but never mind. Robbie, before we go on to talk about St Mirren and Rangers on Sunday, the headlines again has been written off the park. Robertson's away to Aberdeen. I'm not sure if there's any decent nightclubs up in Aberdeen. I was up in Aberdeen once, and that was from I was working, so I never got to any nightclubs up there. But I'm sure Paul or Charlie could maybe let us know. Maybe we could go at the end of the season and have one of these rap parties as well. Robbie, Reagan, Graham's asking you in the chat, do you have any names in mind that you want to see for the St Mirren job? And by the way, Graham, I hope you're sitting down for this, because I think Robbie spout the beans to me before we came on air, and I had to get a cup of coffee. I was joking. Robbie, have you changed your mind, or is it still the same person?
I've got a few.
Okay.
I'll run through them quickly. So I've got the main candidates that I like, and I've got some outside shouts. So the outside ones are Barry Ferguson, which I don't think we can attract away for Rangers, to be honest. I think he's quite happy in an ambassador role at the club. You've got Mark Wilson, which Reagan will be absolutely fuming at me for even bringing up. Obviously at Partick Thistle. I've got Kevin Thompson in there because I love the way he speaks about the game. I think he speaks so intelligently. He knows his stuff. And I've got Dermot O'Carroll, which is an outside shout for me because he's at Sparta Prague and he's in the Northern Ireland setup. He's very comfortable right now, and I don't think he's going to change that, to be honest.
Can I just add, would you not take Robbie Nielsen?
Well, I was just about to go on to him, actually, Charlie. So for the main candidates, I've got Stephen Naismith, who's obviously in the Scotland setup right now. Don't see us getting him because I think he'll want to stay for the World Cup setup. You never know if we're maybe going to keep a manager till the end of the season, and if a caretaker, until after the season, which I don't see as doing because it's too risky. Then maybe we could get him, but I don't see him being there. Stephen McGinn is up there for me. Very inexperienced as a manager, but he done really well with a B team, and for what I hear for Falkirk, the players love working with him, so maybe that could be a shout to fling him in. I've got Neil Lennon in there, which I've had a few chuckles for, to be fair, but I really do like Neil, and I think he could still do a job in the Premiership. And then Robbie Nielsen is my top target, Charlie, which you obviously mentioned there. The only difficulty I see with Robbie is he maybe doesn't want to leave Belgium right now. I know he's earlier as an assistant manager, so maybe he's feeling it quite good earlier, and don't know if he'll want to come back to Scotland, but I'd say any of the four would sort of be my top picks.
I'm so disappointed, Robbie, Charlie. I gave Robbie the big build up, and guess what? He let me down. Do you want? Do, will I say it for you, Robbie? Oh,
Go for it.
okay. Charlie's sitting down, Robbie's sitting down, and I'm sitting down. That's fine. Andrew Postecoglou.
I made that joke with you I fair before we came on. Ange would be a terrific signing, plays free at the back as well, knows what he's doing. And it's a bigger step up than Celtic, so I'd love him to come in and do a job with us. But no, there's definitely a few. My one sort of left off. I think I had a really interesting tweet I saw for, obviously we've had him on the show, Michael Anthony Joseph, said that they're actually using new technology to try and hire a manager, some international technology, which maybe gives a few more options that we maybe don't know. You know, you look at Jens and Motherwell. So, you know, there's potential there. We can get that right in the bin. Charlie Adam, I can convincingly say will not be the next Sunderland manager. I'd be very, very surprised. You actually take a look at the bookie odds, Michael, and it's Tony Docherty that's currently favourite 74 for the job. I don't know if Docherty's going to get it either, but we'll wait and see what happens. It could, you know, some names I've left off. Jack Ross is at Newcastle. I don't know if he'd fancy a run with something in the Premiership. I don't know if he wants to get back into management. But there's definitely a few names out there. I've seen somebody mention Cy Ferry earlier, which just please no. There's some names that I really don't want to see, and I think Charlie Adam and Cy Ferry are probably at the top of my list.
And obviously, you can go very old school, Robbie, and Gus McPherson.
Aye, no, you're all right. But no, Michael, you know, interestingly enough, right, and I love to obviously get a few Celtic fans sort of view on this, but I've just seen Graham's commenting Russell Martin, definitely not. I love to get a Celtic fan view on this. I'm looking at options, so you know, if you're a Celtic fan, please comment. But I'm looking at options that I think we'll appoint a manager before the end of the season. But see if we didn't, I'd take a punt on Sean Maloney at Celtic. I think he's done a pretty good job for being the tactician at Celtic right now. For what we hear anyway, we hear that he's the one setting the team up, and obviously Martin O'Neill's there to sort of motivate the team on. But I'd definitely take a punt on him if it came to the end of the season.
I'm going to throw a name into the mix only because I've interviewed him a few times, and he's a decent guy, and he's been out of our job for a while. Callum Davison, Robbie.
I actually seen somebody mention Callum Davison. It's definitely not a favourite, to be honest, and I think with the way the last couple of seasons have went in his managerial career, maybe stone against it, but I don't know. I have a sneaky feeling, guys, that the club's going to use this new technology, whatever they're using, and maybe pick somebody out of thin air, which, look, I really wouldn't be against. I'm just trying to find the next manager odds and who else is on there that I've not sort of mentioned yet, because there's definitely a few interesting names. Neil Lennon right now is favourite for a few websites. You've got obviously the ones sort of mentioned, but there definitely are a few interested. What about you, Charlie, for instance? Have you got ended that you think will maybe step into this undergo?
I think Robbie Nielsen would be, if I was the St. board, would be the top priority. But there was rumours about him going to Kilmarnock not long ago, and nothing really spiralled from that. So you've got to think, did he maybe turn Kilmarnock down? Is he maybe, as you said, happy enough in Belgium? That's got to be one thing. And I think, as you said, Stephen Naismith seems pretty happy in the Scotland setup. Like I can't see him walking away from that. I don't mind the Sean Maloney one, but is that maybe just thinking a little bit too, like, I don't know. I don't know about. Maybe, I think Sean Maloney would be a great appointment, but I don't know if that would happen.
I'm cautious as well, but what I'd say, Charlie, is if, you know, we're as ambitious as we think we are, and with the last couple of years we've had to go out and make a big statement appointment. Another name on the list that I'm looking at here, Michael Simo Valakari at St Johnstone, plays an absolute wonderful style of football. I don't know if
do you think he'll leave for the night, Robbie?
That's the only thing, and he'll want another crack at the Premiership with the club, which is why it probably won't happen. But, you know, again, if we've got this ambition that we like to think as fans we've got, and every rightly so, by the way, we've built as a club massively over the last couple of years, and if we've got that ambition, then go out and make a proper appointment and show the fans that we want to progress. And it's not going to be easy to progress for whatever manager comes in. I think we need to give whatever manager comes in next a bit of leniency, because as soon as things go rough, or as soon as we don't finish top 6, it's going to be, but Robinson done it. Robinson could do this. Robinson could do that. Look, we need to scrap that. Robinson's gone. We need to give this new manager all our support. And I definitely think there's still room to grow somewhere. And I see the main I think about Matt Wilson, Graham. I really do like the thought of that appointment. As a comments there saying Matt Wilson is a great shout, Robbie. The only problem is he's got Alex Roy in his backroom team, and I really don't fancy seeing Alex Roy back at St Mirren. So if we can maybe get rid of him and bring in another assistant, then I'd be very happy to see him back. But to see Matt Wilson come in, but there's definitely a few interesting shouts. A lot of inexperienced people, but sometimes that can work out in your favour. So we'll need to see how it goes.
Jamie Lansfield done the press conference yesterday, Charlie. He said, obviously he was talking about the Robertson departure to Aberdeen. He said it was always going to be a shock, but we wish him well. We had some good results. And then he goes on to talk about the Rangers game. He says, against Graham in the past, we have come up with big, massive results, but we're looking forward to the game on Sunday. Charlie?
I think there could be a little bit more of an upset there. I think with the new, it's not a new manager, but the new management team kind of taking over for this game, the interim charge. I think Rangers have struggled away from home, especially. I think you've seen it. Livingston, for example, a few weeks back, struggled there. And I think, look, St Mirren's not an easy place to go. I think it's been, no offence, Robbie, a lot easier to go to this season. But in past years, it's been a really horrible place to go. Speaking as an Aberdeen fan as well, where we didn't win for countless years there. But it's a horrible place to go. Obviously, the last time these two teams met at St Mirren, it was a 1-1 draw, I believe, where Rangers got a late goal. Russell Martin's still in charge, so two different situations now. But I think it could be a tough one. I could maybe even see St Mirren picking up a point there.
I'm going to go, Michael, sorry to cut in. I'm going to go even more optimistic. I think we'll win at the weekend. I can see the players getting a huge morale boost after this because, you know, it's all right saying, all right, well, your manager's left, your best manager in 4 years. Of course, we're going to be a bit gutted. But at the same time, if I'm one of the St Mirren players, if I'm Phillips, if I'm a younger who is back for the weekend, if I'm anybody at the back, you know, Gogic, I'm thinking, right, well, let's go and prove Robinson what he left. Let's go and show that we can step this back up because we've not been there this season, but the players have got every bit of quality to show that they can beat anybody in this league. And I think we'll get, I agree with Charlie, I think we'll get a real good go at the weekend, and I can actually see us winning this game, to be honest.
I think Robbie makes a good point, Charlie, about you know, I was saying that when we were talking about the Aberdeen Falkirk game, that the timing's all wrong and all that, and how all St Mirren galvanise themselves for a home game against Rangers. But I think that will maybe give St Mirren a wee bit of a jolt to say, okay, we are a good team, but we're going to prove to Stephen Robertson and, you know, he should get staked here.
You've also got to add that Stephen Robertson has criticised his players all season in interviews, in public interviews. He's said the players have made him look stupid. So this is a perfect time for the St Mirren players to prove Stephen Robertson wrong, as you said, Robbie, and just be like, right, we are a good group of players, and let's go and prove that we didn't make him look stupid.
Let's not mention as well that Jamie Langfield, as I said earlier, has a 100% record as caretaker manager, so I'm still taking that into Sunday as a real possibility he could go in and get something. But you're right, he has been criticising the players, and he's been doing it since day one at a club. I remember there was a whole thing going that apparently throwing the players under the bus, which I don't think was true at the time. But Robinson is, Charlie, you'll learn very, very quickly. He's an honest manager. He'll say exactly what he's thinking. He's not scared to, you know, tell the players they're not doing good enough, and that can work out in some aspects, but maybe that is what's given the players a bit of a demorale boost this season and why they've maybe not performed well. But I've seen a lot of training pictures this week. The players look positive, they look optimistic, they look happy being coached under McLeish and Langfield. So Look, I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a brilliant game of football because Rangers need this. Rangers need this a lot. Of course, we need it, but they need it to a different level. They need to stay in this title fight. They need to prove that they can win this league. And when you're coming away to Paisley, you need to be winning, especially with the way we're playing this season. So it's going to be a pretty big game.
I just want to add as well. Sorry, Michael, but I just want to add as well. The fact is that I've spoken to a few people and say that they don't like the way Stephen Robinson speaks. I think the way he speaks is brilliant. I'm sick of managers going into after a loss, so that was poor. We're looking forward to the next game. We'll try and build on that. Stephen Robinson, as you said, just says it how it is. If his team wasn't good, he'll say that. And if his team was good, he'll just say that. He doesn't have to. And he's honest. Look, he's harsh, but I'd rather that than just sugarcoating it, in my opinion.
I've just realised, Robbie, sorry, we're 41 minutes into the show and we haven't had Robbie's question of the week. So I'm not, and I know that you've got to do a Stephen Robertson and disappear in a minute or two. So I don't know if you want to ask the question as well. I'll keep it till next week. But again, just quickly, you were talking about Jimmy Lansfield there at St Mirren. I've got a question for everybody here. That so if we beat Rangers on Sunday, right? Who was the last kind of goalkeeper as a manager to beat Rangers?
Oh, that's a great question, Michael. I love that. Who was the last goalkeeper to beat Rangers?
And I bet he was a goalkeeper and then he was manager of a Scottish club.
That's a great question. I don't think there's none in the league right now, is there? I'm trying to go through the list of managers. So you've got McInnes, wasn't a goalkeeper, Gray wasn't a goalkeeper.
He's not in Scotland now, Robbie.
Is he still managing?
I think he's in I was going to give you the country, but that would give it away, so I'm not going to. But you mentioned the club half an hour ago, Robbie.
Oh.
I wonder if it's one of these that maybe could be St. manager in the future. Just by the way you said that.
No, you mentioned his ex-club.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know if Graham or Paul wants to.
I think this is one Graham or Paul might get, I'm being honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to know this.
I forgot that we're older than you and Charlie put together.
I don't know. I'm completely clueless.
Yeah, I've not got a clue either.
So we had a show a couple of weeks ago on the Scottish Football Zone focusing, and I might give the answer away here, of a club in Scotland going for the championship. Simo Valakari going to the maybe favourite for the St Mirren job. Manager of St Johnson.
I'm trying to think of skill set. Did he play in goals? I don't want to say him when I'm wrong.
No, that's
play in goals. I'm not talking about Simo, by the way, Michael. Before you say I'm not talking about Simo. I'm just thinking all St Johnson managers and trying to think of this guy who's really, really funny, played in goals, but he didn't. I don't think. I'm going to fling it out there anyway. Craig Levine.
No,
I don't think he played in goals, but
but that was funny. Rather, you want to just throw your hat in?
I'm probably no use. I've not got a Scooby, if I'm being honest.
Do you just want to guess somebody? No. The St Mirren man.
I thought my guess of players were brutal, Michael. This is a whole nother level.
Yeah, I just thought, yep. If I told you he was from Northern Ireland,
I'm probably still not getting it, Michael.
No, I'm still not getting it either.
Aye, that shows the level. I mean, Charlie's old school Scottish football knowledge.
Aye.
Maybe this was before your guys' time, and maybe I hope not, because it makes me feel very old again. He won the Scottish Cup with St Johnson.
I don't know. I really don't know, Michael. My mind has went blank.
Tommy Wright.
Oh, of course, Tommy, right. I knew who he was. I just wouldn't have thought that.
Aye.
So he
fair
went
enough.
to Ibrox and won years ago, so that could happen for a second time under another goalkeeping coach. Robbie, I know like you've got to go in a few minutes as well, but what do you think of Rangers going into the game or on Sunday?
I think they're very fragile, Michael. I'm very critical of Rangers. How you can hit that many shots into Celtic and still not look threatening in attack. If I was a Rangers fan, would scare me, to be honest. How comfortable, I don't want to say comfortable for Celtic because I thought the defending was amazing and they obviously made it difficult for Rangers, but how easy it was at times for Celtic, to me, something we need to take advantage of. And I know we're absolutely struck with injuries right now. Top to bottom, we've got hundreds of players out, but we've got Jonah Ayunga back who typically shows up against Rangers and Celtic. Of course, you don't remind you of December when he done it twice against Celtic, and he's done it numerous times against Rangers as well. He was on the score sheet the last time we played the Rangers at the Smiles in a 1-1 draw, so he definitely knows how to play against them, and I expect he's probably going to get minutes of some sort tomorrow, although I don't know how fit he is. But no, Michael, if I'm a St Mirren fan, I'm St Mirren players, I'm getting right in Rangers' faces and making it difficult for them. I like to think we're going to hit more than one shot against them, don't get me wrong. But I definitely think there is potential there to take away some points. But I'm happy enough to do these questions if you want before I go. I've still got a bit of time, so I'm happy to give these are maybe the toughest I've ever done. So good luck, lads. But it's just the same as last time. I'll give you a player's career, and then you can try and guess based off at each club. So we'll go with the first one, see how you get on. So this player started his career in 2013 at Manchester United, where he spent 3 years at the club and made 0 appearances and 0 goals. But he did have loan spells at Morecambe and Motherwell. Morecambe, he made 0 appearances, and then he went to Motherwell on loan in 2015 for the year, where he made 14 appearances, scoring 0 goals.
Ooh.
Now it's time to see Mike. It's time to see Michael struggle.
I was going to say my question was easy a bit, of course, because I knew the answer as well. Charlie?
No one that comes to mind so far.
Nope.
Continue.
Yeah.
Right, so after making no appearances for Man United, he transferred away in 2016 where he joined Preston North End, where he spent a year at the club making 5 appearances and scoring 0 goals. I should have said this before we started. These are all players that have been managed under Stephen Robinson, and that was the sort of theme for the day because obviously the news that he'd left. So these are all players that Stephen Robinson's managed at some point in his career.
No. Pass.
Nothing slow that's come to mind yet.
Right, okay, right, I'll move on. Right, in 20, so it also, John Preston, he had a loan spell at Chesterfield where he played 13 games, scoring 0 goals, but I don't think you'll get it after that. So in 2017, he transferred to Motherwell, where this is where he started playing under Robinson. He spent 5 years at the club, making 101 appearances and only scoring once. So over 100 caps, 100 appearances for Motherwell, only scoring 1 goal.
I don't think it is him, but I just want to put out a rogue shout. Is it O'Hara?
It's no Mark O'Hara. I like the guess though.
No, I just
you'll find out in a minute why it's no Mark O'Hara, but no, it's a good guess, right enough. Michael, any idea?
Well, I knew it wasn't Mark because he went to he went out to Lincoln and then he went to another club on loan, but I knew it wasn't Mark.
You know Mark O'Hara's. You know Mark's career better than I do.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But no. Have you got one more guess, Robbie? No, because
I've got a couple more clubs, so I can give you some there if you need it. In 2022, he transferred to Greenock Morton, hence why it wasn't Mark O'Hara, where he spent a year at the club making 30 appearances, scoring 0 goals. So he's clearly not a goal scorer.
Is this his final club? Yeah.
No, one more after this. If you want me to say it.
I think I'm struggling here. Big
This is a bad look on me. Like this is.
You want me to go for the last club?
Aye.
So
Maybe I'll just tell us the name.
So in 2023, he moved to Dundee United, where he spent a year at the club and then finally decided to retire. I will give you his position. He was a right back or a midfielder. Primarily, I think, playing in midfield. If you don't get it, these are quite difficult, so there's too many to run through, but I
don't think I'm going to get it.
Michael, any idea?
No.
No, so if you want me to tell you?
Is it, well, wait a minute. So, okay, I can't think of his name, right? But, you know, that way I can't think of his name, but I know him inside my head. And trust me, you don't want to go inside my head. Is it English?
Yeah, it's English, Michael.
Okay. I can't get the name out. He went to Dundee United, did you say?
Yep. Dundee United last club.
Yeah. This is going to bug me. I know that I can't get his name out. So yeah, if you guys want to tell us, Robbie.
Yeah, what I'll start doing for future shows, right, is I'll start putting pictures of them into StreamYard as well as we go, and what I can do is any future ones, the last clue can be what they look like, and then we can see if you can get them after that. But I've not got time for that here, so I'll just tell you the player is Liam Grimshaw, former midfielder, of course.
Right.
A very difficult opener. I'm going to be honest with you guys, it doesn't get much better with these last two, but we'll see how you go. So for player number 2, he started his career at Cincinnati Dutch Lions in 2019, where he made 10 appearances, scoring 2 goals. He did play with Birkenhead United in a youth academy for 2 years, but he then transitioned to Cincinnati Dutch Lions in 2019.
Wow.
I'm going to assume you don't have any idea who this is yet.
No.
Right, want me to continue? Right. In 2020, he transferred to Waketree United, where he made 14 appearances, scoring 6 goals. And then in 2021, he moved to Birkenhead United, where he made 19 appearances, scoring 19 goals. So in 2022, that led him to Paisley, where he joined St Mirren, where he spent 2 years at the club, making 63 appearances, scoring 8 goals.
Oh, I thought I had it for a second. It's not Alisanya, is it?
It's no Alisanya, no.
No, I thought I might have it there. They tell you to 8 goals.
I think just as well you said Buckingham City because their questions are beginning to no.
If I get this far, I forget that far. I've got a very good final clue that I can give you. So in 2024, he joined Dundee United on loan, where he later went on to make it permanent. No, I don't think he actually did make it permanent. My apologies. So he went to Dundee United on loan, where he made 13 appearances, scoring only 1 goal. Under, of course, previous manager Jim Goodwin at the time.
No, it's not him because he made it permanent. I was thinking Ryan Strain for a minute, but he made it permanent.
No, I'm not Strain.
I'm totally out of the fire.
I feel like I can get this one, but
I think you can get this one as well, Charlie.
You're on your own, Charlie boy.
What's his next club?
Right, next club in 2024, he transferred to Bohemians, where he made 11 appearances, scoring 0 goals.
That's just took me completely off route.
On that note, we're going to say Shilly Robbie. We'll see you next season as well.
I've got one more club, Charlie, if you need it.
Aye, I'm not getting off that.
In 2025, he moved to San Antonio FC, where he still currently plays. Currently got 15 appearances, only scoring 2 goals.
Got it in the chat.
Oh, does somebody have it in the chat? They are right. It is Alex Grieve, obviously New Zealand striker. The last clue I was going to give you is I've got his shot right up there. His match one shot for the game we beat Hibs 3-2. I would have then went on. I would have went on to tell you he made 14 appearances for the New Zealand national team, scoring 2 goals for the Kiwis. So a pretty dismal start to his career, but he's made it back on track. I'm intrigued to see if any of you will get this final one, because this is probably...
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, yeah, have a go.
So,
have a bit of fun here.
So in 2018, he started his career at Wolverhampton Wanderers, where, of course, he made no appearances, scored no goals, but he did have 2 loan spells at Bradford City on loan, where he made 6 appearances, scoring 0 goals, and FC Jumela in Spain, in like the 6th division, where he made 9 appearances and scoring 2 goals. So that's your sort of first wee package. I'm going to assume you want me to move on. You're probably not going to get it after this. Yeah, right. So in 2019, he transferred to Motherwell. This is obviously under Robinson, where he spent 2 years at the club, making up 32 appearances, scoring 2 goals. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't get it here, you're not going to get it, because the rest of the clubs are absolutely dreadful. So it's a bit of a thinker, this one.
He scored 2 goals, you said?
He did. 2 goals for Motherwell.
I want to know who come up with this decision about having a quiz on the show.
That was a decision made by Reagan, Michael.
It's easy to say that when he's not here. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to quickly just skip through the rest of the clubs, because I don't think you know a single one of these clubs. He played with Lankvillardense in the Portuguese 4th division. He then played with Vélez Neveslin in the Bosnia and Herzegovina League. He then played with Inosis Neon Paralimi.
Robert, have you been at the pub before the show?
Then went to FK Banga in Lithuania, and then he currently plays with Al Wehad, and I'm going to assume that's Saudi Arabia. They've not even got a Wikipedia page, but the one thing I can tell you, is he was born in Rotterdam, and he's distantly related to a very famous football player and former manager. That's what I can tell you. So it has distance relations to a pretty big deal in football.
I've still not a Scooby.
And I can tell you that this distant relation managed... Oh, they've got it in the chat. Seedorf. So the player was Sherwin Seedorf, formerly of Motherwell, of course, distant related to Clarence Seedorf. So that one was definitely the hardest out the 3.
And now draw for the quiz.
Yeah, I know not draw until next time. But the chat done well.
They won't be on next time. That's it.
Don't worry, I'll try and make them easier. Well done to everybody in the chat. But shall I give my prediction for the game before I go?
It's the end of the season now, Robbie. We've been here for 9 weeks guessing this, by the way. On you go. Sorry.
Right, so I'm not gonna go win for something. Why not? We need to start off positively. We need to show what we can do since Robinson's left. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to St Mirren in this game. I'll also just give you the rest of my predictions. I think Dundee will win the Dundee Derby 3-1. I think Hearts will beat Kilmarnock 1-0. And I think Hibs will beat Livingston 2-0. And my Premiership pick of the week is St Johnstone versus Ross County, because it's just a pretty good game. And I'm liking the look of St Johnstone and Ross County. So I get back there. Of course, Michael, me and Reagan are going to be going to Queen's Park versus United for Scottish Football Zone. So look out for some content with that. It'll be interesting to see if Scott Brown can survive the weekend. But that is all for me. Thank you, boys. I will see you guys again on Sunday. I think we're doing a show on Sunday, Michael.
Yeah, we will be if you're not giving any questions, but yeah.
And I will just say, by the way, I forgot one prediction, Celtic Motherwell. I will give you, it'll be a 1-0 draw at Celtic Park, in my opinion. So, I'll see you boys later.
Okay, see you, Robbie. Whoa, and that was Robbie. I've basically lost the place, Charlie. But as you might have seen, I've lost the place years ago. But never mind. St Mirren and Rangers. Yeah, we were talking about Rangers, Charlie. Obviously, it's been a busy but disappointing couple of weeks for Rangers, and I suppose like the cup game. You know, I think that was Rangers' best chance to beat Celtic, and I would maybe argue the point that that was the best chance to beat Celtic in the league because, in my opinion, Celtic went there last week with a second team. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, and I think both Celtic and Rangers are pretty poor sides at the moment. Whether they want to admit that or not, I think if you're looking at the standards that Celtic sides and Rangers sides have set in past years, it's a poor side for both of them. I think more specifically, I think it's a poorer Celtic side, and one of the worst that I've seen in a while. I have to be honest, I think the recruitment in January wasn't good enough. But yeah, for me, I think Rangers are probably going to go trophyless now, in my opinion. I think Celtic will probably end up winning the Scottish Cup. As much as I would love to see a Falkirk or a Dunfermline win it, I think we will probably end up see Celtic winning it. But yeah.
Yeah, obviously, we'll get your take on it last week as well. The now about last week at Ibrox between the two sets of fans, and listen, I think it was a kind of a good game of football. Rangers Suga won the game. Celtic defended for their lives. I can't remember the last time Celtic defended that well through a whole 90 minutes. Or, I think extra time as well. Obviously, penalty kicks, but it was terrible scenes at the end of the game.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't actually notice anything happen after the game. I was just more focused on the football. But yeah, I feel like if you didn't see what happened after the game, you were living under a rock. But the actual game itself, huge credits to Celtic. They were fantastic. Like, defensively, were so good. But that's just a more a problem on a Rangers side. You've got to be more clinical. You can't be having that many shots on a Celtic side. There was some young players who hadn't played too much football in that Celtic team, like Benjamin Arthur, who hadn't played too much football in general. Who comes in and looks pretty good, shaky at times, but that's always going to happen coming into a game as big as this. Dane Murray, I thought, was good. Ruled out his mistake from the week before as well. Sinisalo, exactly the same. I thought he was good, and I just think he has that kind of calmness around his game. I think a few people have said this. You don't really want to notice your goalkeeper. You just want them to be there to do their job, and that's what he done. But Rangers, for me, they need to be more clinical if they want to win this league, and I don't think they are going to do it. I think there's been people that are saying Danny Rowe out. For me, that would be a mental decision for Rangers to make. Danny Rowe has changed his team, but I think he needs a full season to do what he can do. I think Danny Rowe's a really, really good manager. He showed that at Sheffield Wednesday, which he kept up, I think, twice with two really, really horrendous squads that really shouldn't even be in the Championship. And you've seen that now. Look, obviously a different story with the points deduction, but Danny Rowe's a really good manager. He's done it. He's been a coach at Bayern Munich, winning Champions League as well. I know you probably could say he's not had the massive amount of impact, but he's still done it. He's been around great managers. He's been learning from great managers, and I think he is a good manager. But for me, some of the criticism is fair. I think more specifically the league game where the 2-2 draw between the two Glasgow clubs, I think that was really, really poor. They sat off Celtic. And I mean, when Celtic brought players like Rio Hatate on, that the game was always going to get changed anyway. And speaking of Rio Hatate, if you can get that Rio Hatate every week, you've got a cracking player.
What do you think how will Rangers kind of like approach the game tomorrow? Because obviously Danny Rowe was talking about it today, and he says that we've got 9 cup finals we've got 9 cup finals starting with the game on Sunday.
Well, they need to be confident. They need to go in that game and try and play their football that we know they can play. Now, Rangers, I've made this comment already on here that their away form has been pretty poor. You've seen that on multiple occasions. Livingston, for example, that I made earlier on. Really, really poor game for Rangers, especially when they were 2-0 down as well. Hibs a few weeks ago before as well. A poor draw there. There have been countless situations, and you look at that and you think, that's not what winners of league titles do. You look at Hearts where, look, the performances aren't always there, but you just don't expect them to concede. You don't expect them to lose. They're just so comfortable. I just don't see that with Rangers, in my opinion. I just think they're at times sloppy, I think. And I've seen a few people make the comment, not just on here, but on social media in general, that he hasn't got his own players. He spent a good amount of money in January. I know he's going to get his proper squad in the summer, but I think with the amount of money that in general Rangers have spent this season, they should be doing a lot better, and they maybe not run away with it, because you see what Hearts have done this season, but they should probably be in front. If you didn't have the whole Russell Martin situation, they probably would be.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it will be interesting how Rangers will bounce back as well, and obviously it's how St Mirren will kind of like approach the game as well. So, what's your prediction for the game, Charlie, and Sunday?
I am going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think Rangers' away form has been pretty poor, and I think that'll keep going on for now.
Yep, I'm the same as you. I'll go 1-8 on Sunday as well, just to copy you, because I like to copy people as well. I've made a career out of it, so I wouldn't worry about it. The game tomorrow at Celtic Park. Don't know about you, Charlie, but it's the game of the weekend, and Celtic against Motherwell. Both sides are coming into it with mixed form. Obviously, Celtic on the road 4 games in a row, won 3. Got a point out the other one at Ibrox in the league game. Motherwell on a good run of form, but Dundee beat them last week in the league 2-1, but it should be a very open game.
Yeah, I think, look, it's a blip last week against Dundee, but you got to say Dundee have been on good form as well, so it's not exactly like a mental result. But for Motherwell, they'll be disappointed with that. That probably rules out any chance of a title race for them. But this isn't going to help with my supposed agenda against Celtic, but I'm going to go with a 2-0 Motherwell win.
Oh, right, yeah. Interesting. But I suppose that the last time Motherwell played Celtic actually get battered against Motherwell, albeit it was under Wilfred Nancy as well. But I mean, Motherwell was a kind of good footballing side, and I've made a point in the show last week, Charlie, that it's the same with Falkirk as well. They haven't got like 1 or 2 decent players. It's got about 5 decent players in the squad. Motherwell.
I think decent's probably an understatement. If anything, I think they've got some real quality in that team. And probably at the start of the season, you would have looked at some of that squad and thought, okay, they're okay players, but they've just went up a whole new level under Jens Bertolatsky. You've got to look at players like an Elliot Watt, who last season was at St Johnstone, I'm pretty sure, struggling at the bottom of the league. And I just think he has been, for me, one of the best midfielders in the league. I think Elijah Just, who was managed by Jens Bertolatsky a few years ago, I think he has been one of the best players in the league. And I've said that numerous occasions. I think he's one of the best players in this league and one of the best midfielders in the league, because I just think he's an absolute joy to watch. He's that creative kind of player. And I think, kind of circling back to when Aberdeen beat Motherwell a few weeks ago in the Cup, and I just thought when they took him off, they just lost so much in that midfield. They lost so much creativity in that midfield. It just makes everything tick for me, but they've got some really quality players.
Of course, some injury news from Celtic today. Captain Callum McGregor will be out for a few weeks, and then Schmeichel's back in training. But Martin O'Neill says that he'll make the decision tomorrow. But do you think it'll be a bit unfair to drop Sinasaro, because he's had quite a decent couple of weeks, especially going to Ibrox twice?
Yeah, you've got to say it, and it would be very harsh to be dropping him in the situation he's had. Look, he can't really do much about the Trimiti goal, if we're being honest. He's got absolutely no chance for that. And with the other goal, the Trimiti's other goal, he spreads himself. He can't really do too much else about that. I think none of the goals, and he done very well in Germany the same week of that game. And then last week, I just thought you didn't notice him, which was good. He had to make a few decent little saves, and I think he's a calm goalkeeper. And I thought it would have been a few months ago now when Celtic played Livingston at Livingston. It was a 4-2 game. It was a frantic game. There was like 4 goals in the first 10 minutes. It was but again, I thought he's not as great as some people made him out to be, but he's completely proved me wrong, because in the last few games he's played and he's been absolutely fantastic. And I don't really want to see Martin O'Neill do the kind of the on and off kind of situation where one game at Sinisalo, one game at Schmeichel, because Sinisalo now does deserve to really get a good run in this team. He's done everything right so far, and look, he's what, 24, I think. He is he's young for a goalkeeper, but you don't notice that because of how calm he looks on the ball. He looks like he wants to get on the ball, and even think when he's coming out for his cross and claiming crosses, you don't get that with Schmeichel. Look, Schmeichel's an experienced goalkeeper, and if you would have half the career that Schmeichel has had, you would be laughing. But right now, it's probably time for Sinisalo to take over, in my opinion.
And I suppose as well, Martin O'Neill's got about 9 cup finals, albeit the semi-final as well, 10, and he will want to settle the squad down, because I mean he can't just change it every couple of weeks with Sinisalo and Schmeichel on as well. And as well as that, Charlie, it's coming up to the time of the season where Celtic's only playing 1 game a week, like all the other clubs as well. So you would think Martin O'Neill would kind of like make a decision on the goalkeeper, and that's the way it's going to be in a kind of like settled side now until the end of the season, because you don't want to upset it.
Yeah, basically everything you've said there. You've got a goalkeeper who's pretty settled now. He seems like he's came into that team and looked pretty good, in my opinion. And for me, Schmeichel's you're just kind of expecting Schmeichel to make a mistake at this point, where on the opposite scale of things, you look at Sinisalo and he just looks comfortable. It looks like he's been in goals for years for Celtic, but for Schmeichel, you're almost just kind of waiting until he does something that messes the game up.
So let's have a look at what the manager said. Martin O'Neill basically was asked about Sunday's game, and he was very surprised. But obviously, if you haven't saw the statement by both clubs, Celtic and Rangers, make a statement about it last night. Meanwhile, Martin O'Neill on the game, he said it's going to be a real tough game. Motherwell manager Jens Becker says, I think when we faced them Celtic before, the first time of the season, it was a tough game, and I'm expecting no different there tomorrow, especially at Parkhead. What do you think your predictions will be for the for the game tomorrow?
It's tough. It's a tough game. It's a hard one to predict. Was this sorry, I missed what team it was. This the Celtic
Motherwell Celtic game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still going to stick with 2-0, I think.
Oh, 2-0, you said, like, okay, I was sleeping at the field. And yeah, I will go 2-1 to Celtic. What's your prediction for the Dundee game? Funnily enough, you're coming in at the right time. We're going to talk about the Dundee Derby in a minute or two. But yeah, I mean, I think it will be an interesting game tomorrow, because obviously the last time Celtic was at Celtic Park, Hibs beat them in 2-1 as well. And then they had 4 difficult games on the road, albeit the European games. Celtic were out anyway, but they were only playing for a bit of pride and confidence and all the rest of it, and they won that one as well. I suppose, like, when you win games, it kind of breeds confidence, Charlie, but obviously it can go the opposite way if you don't win any of your 4 away games.
Yeah, they just need to they need to be consistent. I think since Martin O'Neill's kind of came in, he has look, the performances haven't been there for Celtic all season. You've not really seen a steady Celtic team yet, and even going back to when Brendan Rodgers was the manager at the start of the season, you didn't see that kind of nice football. You've seen a lot of possession. You didn't see a lot of great football, and you think when Martin O'Neill came in, he won games, and that's what he came in for. And you think I expected when Wilfred Nancy came in, you're expecting that kind of nice football, and at times you got that, but you were also conceding 3-2 goals at the same time, and we're losing a lot of games. Funnily enough, I think would have been the only teams they really beat were Livingston and I think Aberdeen off the top of my head, which is just the most Aberdeen thing I think I've ever heard. But yeah, if they can keep results going, there'd be no reason why they don't win the league.
Okay, so let's go over to the Dundee Derby then, and I always think this weird, this Derby, and well, we are going to find a way that team's going to have to go in the team bus. They just have to walk across the road to their neighbours. And this time it's Dundee. Dundee and Mikey will walk across the road to Dens Park on a Sunday for a Tayside derby, and I'm looking forward to this one. Charlie, obviously Dundee's on a good run of form, especially last week beating Motherwell.
Yeah, look, it'll be for me. I think I'll be back in Dundee for this. I think they're gonna get a result here. I just think they've improved since the turn of the year. I'd say they've improved massively, and I think from everyone, Stephen Presley kind of should be owed an apology at this point. Everyone, including myself, ripped his team off, said they were going to go down. And fair enough at the time, rightly so. You seen what he done in the League Cup. It was embarrassing for Dundee. It didn't look great going into the league. And then there was a few bad losses in there as well. At the start of the season wasn't great. You thought he'd be gone by October. He stayed after that. He outlasted the likes of Brendan Rodgers, Russell Martin, Jimmy Tillene, these kind of managers, and he's going to stay till the end of the season. And that, in my opinion, I think Stephen Robinson coming in for Aberdeen will help their case of finishing 7th, but I think they've got a very good chance of finishing 7th this time. But if we're going on for a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Dundee win.
I think you make a good point there, Charlie, because obviously when Presley came into Dundee, everybody was like that. Everybody tongued their noses up a wee bit because he's been out of the cold for a wee while. But, you know, he came in, I think he got a point, or did he? I think he got a point against Rangers in the first game of the season, Ibrox. And then, yeah, it's been kind of like up and down, but most for the past couple of weeks, he's managed to pick up results and, you know, don't write a manager off.
100%. He's done a cracking job, and he, as much as a lot of people have said the same thing, he is a bit boring in his interviews. He's not exactly the greatest guy to hear from, but his players are playing for him, and you can see that in the pitch. He's got some real quality on that pitch as well. For the likes of Yogan, I think it's brilliant. Congreve, Ethan Hamilton, even as well. He scored that cracking goal against Aberdeen not long ago as well. He's got some great players in that team, and for me, they are for me favourites right now to be finishing 7th.
Yeah, and I think that would be an achievement for Dundee this season. I mean, when we were talking about St Mirren earlier on, I mean, the budget, I mean, I don't think Dundee might have the same as St Mirren, but I would say maybe not in terms of like the financial and stuff like that, but they're actually doing well. You know, it's one of these clubs you would say that they are kind of like punching above their weight. Would that be a fair comment?
Right now, 100%. I think that the Dundee team's good, but it probably is the kind of team that you would expect to be fighting for relegation. And right now, more than going to be staying up, in my opinion.
And would that be everything that we're saying positive about Dundee is the opposite for Dundee United? Because I don't know about you, Charlie, but I've been a bit disappointed in Dundee United kind of this season.
Yeah, even though they are right now, I think are sitting 7th in the league, they're just a rotten sight to watch. And you got to think when they brought in so many quality players in the summer, the likes of Sapsard, who looks on paper really, really good. I think if he can get his consistency, he's a good player. Pan Kamara, I think, has been up there with the best midfielders in the league. He's been fantastic. But there was other players they brought in, and they just haven't really managed to get going yet, and they haven't been able to hold that consistency. And I think probably now saying that it is maybe time for them to move on Jim Goodwin, because I just think they're not going to get any better under him, even if they give him another transfer window. I think the time has now come. I think Jim Goodwin's good at giving you short-term success. He's done it at a lot of clubs. He done it at Dundee United, got them promoted in their first season, finished 4th on the final day of the season. It didn't mean much at the end of the day because they got that basically stolen off them in the end, but did finish in the top 6 next in season. A lot of Dundee United fans are expecting similar. Look, it's hard to kind of match that with European football, but they're expecting similar kind of things. And look, injuries have played a huge part in this Dundee United season, in my opinion. It massively has, but for me, it's probably now the right time for Jim Goodwin to be moved on.
Reagan has joined us on the show. Reagan, we're just talking about the Dundee Derby on Sunday. Have you been disappointed with Dundee United, but have you been also impressed with Dundee?
Definitely, Michael. I think in terms of Dundee United, I think they've been pretty boring over the last few weeks. I watched the game against Aberdeen, and I think the match against Aberdeen, I don't think anybody would have scored that game. But I think Dundee as well. I think me and Stuart come on the very first day of the season, Michael, and we sort of spoke about Stephen Presley, and he was sort of thinking that Dundee were going to get relegated. So no, fair play, Stephen Presley. He's done a very good job.
Yeah, Stephen Presley was talking on Wednesday, Charlie, about the game. He says, we go into the game on good form. I have a lot of confidence in my side. Meanwhile, Jim Goodwin says, we are looking forward to this game and we want to win the game. And we need to be at our best. He says, they come into the game on the back of good form. Will be up for the game. Just going back to Stephen Presley's comments, Reagan, that must be brilliant to say that their team is full of confidence at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Dundee are playing actually pretty well. They probably should have beat Celtic at Celtic Park when I was at that game. For the Scottish Football Zone, but I think in general, I think Dundee fans will be pretty happy with how their seasons kind of went.
What's your prediction on this one, Reagan?
So it's Dundee at home this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 to Dundee United.
Oh, right, okay.
3-1 to Dundee. Sorry.
Yeah, I was right surprised. Get that, Charlie, right? But before Reagan came on, right, I was going to go 3-1 Dundee as well. So, but I'm going to stick with that one as well. So, 3-1 to Dundee and the Dundee Derby. That's on Sunday as well. Yeah, let's talk about the game tomorrow night at Rugby Park, Carmarthen Hearts. Charlie, I'll be interested to see because these two sides is not played for 2 weeks. Obviously, Carmarthen and Hearts out the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, is that at Tynecastle or is it at the?
Is it Rugby Park?
Yeah, I thought so. But yeah, Look, Hearts for me, they've been unbelievable this season. They've been great for the Scottish football side of things, but as someone that's living in Edinburgh, it is a miserable experience right now. Where me having a lot of friends that are Hearts fans, they're getting very big for the boots. But who for Hearts fans will care about that? They've got more than right to be getting too big for their boots because they're top of the league. They have been for some time now, and I just think they're just consistently good. You just expect the Hearts win now, and for me, I've made this comment for a wee while now. For me, you can't trust Celtic or Rangers to go out and get a result. You wouldn't put your money on Celtic and Rangers to both win. But for me, you can definitely see that Hearts are building it and they're just getting better and better. And I think I've made this comment on here a few times where look, they're not always the best team. They're not always playing brilliant football, but they just won games. You've looked at the three Edinburgh derbies. Look, one of them didn't go their way, but in the other two at Tynecastle, the football wasn't brilliant. They didn't play very well, but they just get results, and that's what Hearts have done this season. And I think it'll be no different on Saturday night. And I think it'll be. I think it's going to be a 3-0 win.
Alexa, how do you spell interview?
Interview is spelled INTERVIEW.
Sorry, Michael's still on the stream here. Yeah, but I think what you said about Hearts there, Charlie, is spot on. I don't think Hearts are playing them the actual brilliant football, but I think they're playing. Football that's getting the job done. I think the best footballing team's probably been Motherwell this season, but I think Hearts have got huge credit in the bank because of what they're doing. I don't think they're playing beautiful football, but I think if Hearts can get 7 wins out of 7, they'll probably be champions.
Of course, Derek McInnes was talking about the game. He says that the focus has been great. I think the last couple of performances has really been pleasing us, and the same that we've got the outcome, but the performances have been good as well, and we just need to try and now focus on our next challenge come out. And of course, it's Charlie, it's two ex-teammates that's coming up against each other.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Look, Rugby Park isn't an easy place to go, and I think especially since Neil McCann's really came into that job, it's been a lot harder than it has been this season. And I think Neil McCann's played some great football at them, and I think as much as John Jules will be a miss for the rest of the season, I think they are a good side, and you wouldn't bet against them at the moment. As much as there's been a few inconsistencies there, but it won't be an easy tie for Hearts, but I do expect a win.
What are you expecting from Kamal this season, Reagan? Because obviously they had a couple of results when Neil McCann came in. They nearly won the game against Celtic, but the last couple of weeks they've kind of fell away.
Yeah, they have, and I think that's to be expected. I think, like Charlie's saying there, I mean, if you look at John Jules, he's been an outstanding player for them the last few weeks, so you would probably expect a drop off. But I think that's where the Hearts will be pretty happy tomorrow, because I think he's probably the best player. But I think fair play to Billy and Neil. They've went into there and they've done really well.
Yeah, no, and Neil McCann was talking about the game as well. He says it's going to be a tough game. They're top side. They're top side. They're top of the league, so it will be difficult for us as well. Have you been surprised at how Kamark has kind of dropped off a cliff this season, Charlie?
Slightly, you have to say. I think last season, look, it wasn't great under Derek McInnes. I think you could see that Derek McInnes had aspirations to move on, but this season they started the season at one point were third in the league, which is more than mental to say. But after that was such a drop off under Stuart Kettlewell, and it was toxic at the end. You have to say it was really, really toxic near the end of his kind of spell as Kilmarnock manager. And then they bring Neil McCannon, and as someone that very, very heavily criticised the appointment and said after the few first games they weren't winning games, and I was in quotes, I did say this was always going to happen when you hire a pundit, and then a few weeks later they beat Aberdeen 3-0 to win their first game. So it's been swings and roundabouts for Kilmarnock, but I think they'll do enough to stay up, in my opinion.
What's your prediction on the game, guys, tomorrow night? By the way, it's an 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow against Hearts, Charlie.
I am going to go with 3-0 to Hearts, though.
Oh, you've stole my prediction. I think I'll go 4-0 then. I think 4-0. 4-0 to Hearts.
I don't know if John Jones is still out. Neil McCann never mentioned that, but at the press conference, but I will go at easy 3-0 to Hearts tomorrow as well. I would be very surprised if Kilmarnock picked up anything on the game, right? So we're moving towards the championship. Before we go into the championship, I don't know about you guys, right? But well, Charlie will be able to tell us better because you are from Edinburgh, right? But I always associate Hibs and Livingston as a kind of derby game.
Not that I've seen as I've been in Edinburgh. In all fairness, I don't see a lot of Livingston fans. If there is, they are very local. They're not a very wide fan base. But no, I wouldn't say there's much a rivalry there.
Okay, well, no, I guess for Edinburgh outside Livingston and all that kind of stuff, Regan, but there you go. Hibs against Livingston. What do you think of this game? Another two team that's been out of action for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult one for him, but ultimately I think there was too strong for them. I think I've been impressed with them so far in the Marvin Batley. I mean, they took a point against Rangers. They probably should have got a point off Celtic until Chamberlain scored that brilliant goal. And they've been playing pretty well. So I just don't think that I don't think they're doing too bad, but I think in terms of what they're actually doing, I don't think they can really complain. But for me, I think Livingston are already down, to be honest with you, Michael.
Charlie, we don't really know who's on the playoff spot yet, but is it for sure that Livingston will be back to the championship next season, in your opinion?
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty much given now. I agree. I think Marvin Bartley's done a pretty good job. He still hasn't managed to get that win, but I think there's been improved results and improved performances from Livingston. But I think it's a little too late for Livingston now. If you were going to do that, they should have done it a little bit earlier in the season. I know they wanted to give Martin the kind of the benefit of the doubt, but I think if you were going to make that decision, they should have done it a lot earlier. But yeah, for me, it's a little too late now.
Regan, what do you think of Hibs this season under David Gray? I mean, they had that brilliant result at Parkhead a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Michael, there were some brilliant results. I mean, to beat the local rival Hearts, and to obviously beat Celtic, to draw with Rangers. So there was some good scores. But I think in general, if you were to say to the supporters, I think they'd be pretty disappointed.
Okay, guys, what's your prediction for the game tomorrow? Regan, Hibs and Livingston?
Is Livingston at home or Livingston away?
Hibs is at home.
Well, Hibs at home. I'm going to go the High Beast 5, Livingston 0. 5-0 at the High Beast.
I'm going to go a similar scoreline, but I'm going to go just that one less goal for Hibs. I'm going to go 4-0 to Hibs.
4-0. Yeah, 4-0. 3-0 to Hibs. There you go. That's the games tomorrow. Before we go, guys, let's have a look at the championship tomorrow. Of course, there's a big game on tonight. I'm not forward to this one actually. It's Morton against Reagan's Packet Thistle, quarter-8 kickoff, and then the games tomorrow is Airdrie against Arbroath, Confirming against Raith Rovers, a local derby there. Queen's Park against Ayr United, and St Johnstone against Ross County. Right, guys, what's your top game of the weekend, Charlie?
I'm gonna go with Queen's Park Ayr United. I think it's a big one for both teams. I think in recent weeks Queen's Park have kind of pulled themselves out of that relegation zone. I think they're now sitting sixth, which is actually quite mental to say since the start they've had. I think Ayr United, there's been inconsistencies under Scott Brown, and I think it's now starting to look like he could be on his way out of Ayr United, as I mentioned earlier in the week. But yeah, it's a massive game for both of them.
Reagan, do I ask you? Okay, Reagan not there. Yeah, I was expecting to.
I think for me, the match of the weekend for me, Michael's got to be the South Derby, Raith Rovers and Dunfermline. You know, you can never say that's going to be a good game. I think both teams are playing pretty well. I've seen both teams pretty often this season. But like Charlie's saying, I mean, I'm actually going to that game when me and Robbie are going tomorrow. That game.
I'm actually quite surprised, Reagan. I thought you would say my Packet Thistle against Morton tonight, as well.
No.
But no, that should be a good game. That tonight, I'm looking forward to that. But I would have liked to see the South Derby as well.
Yeah, Michael. I think the only bad thing for Partick Thistle I've been reading this week, so many crucial injuries. So Partick Thistle, for people that don't know, Partick Thistle are probably missing their best attacker this season. Logan Chalmers, he's missing probably for the foreseeable future, and obviously the best midfielder, which is Smith, who joined from St Mirren, who scored the penalty against St Johnstone. So two big injuries for Partick Thistle, and I think, to be honest, Michael, that'll probably set them back tenfold. So I think if you said to Mark Wilson a 1-0 victory and down the road, I think he'd take it.
Before we go on to talk about the other games of the weekend, before we go, Reagan went out this morning to interview Ricky Lammy of Queen's Park about the game tomorrow against Scott Brown's Ayr United, and was in good form, Reagan.
Michael, he definitely was, and he spoke very well, actually.
Yep. So we're going to hear that interview in a few minutes' time, but just while Reagan's getting that set up, what do you think of the game tonight, Charlie? Morton against Packet Thistle?
Big game. I think Partick Thistle still want to be keeping St Johnstone on their toes. As much as I think, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to win the league. As much as I would really like to see a club like Partick Thistle win the league, they're a great club, great fans, just an all-round great club in general. But Great Morton, I think the squad ain't great, but I think Ian Murray's he's a great manager. He's shown that in the past at Raith Rovers as well. But I think Partick Thistle will have enough. I think they will win this game, in my opinion.
And what about the other games of the weekend? I mean, what's your kind of pick of the weekend? Are you going for the Fife Derby?
The Fife Derby is a great one. I've still want to experience that live because it's a great game. It's usually, I'm actually gutted it's not on a Friday night because obviously I don't get to see a lot of Championship football when it's on the Saturday. But it's a big game. It's always a good atmosphere as well. The away team never really does very well in this fixture, so we'll have to wait and see for that one.
Reagan, I don't know if you've got the interview lined up yet with
Yeah,
Ricky Lamy.
yeah, I've
Yep.
got it, Michael.
So there you go. So today Reagan went along to speak to Ricky Lamy about the game tomorrow against Ayr United against the City Skigum, I think it's called, Guy. The City Skigum. So this is what he had to say to Reagan today about the game tomorrow against Ayr United.
Ricky, a big 6 points in the last 2 games. Talk to us about that so far.
Massive. I think every 3 points that you're going to pick up from at the end of the season, it's going to be massive and have a big influence. So, the more victories we can pick up, the more points we can pick up, the better.
Do you think it's a help or a hindrance that you're playing Scott Brown's team back to back?
I mean, I think like that. It's one of the leagues where you're going to play everybody multiple times a season, so it's going to come about. We done it at County last month. Where we played them twice in a matter of 4 or 5 days, and it was like that. We actually bounced back, for a poor result and got a good result. So I don't think it's got too much of a bearing, but I mean, listen, it'd be nice to mix it up, but I think it's just, as I say, at this time of the season, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You're looking to go in the same objective and pick up the 3 points.
I think it was great for the boys as well, especially on Tuesday, because the score went to 1-1. It would have been so easy for the boys to get down on themselves and be a bit down about things, but they bounced back so well.
Definitely, as you say, it's a good test of your resolve and your character. It's maybe a bit of cliche these days when everybody talks about character and things like that, but I mean, we've showed it in the last, if I've been into the club for January, there's been a couple of times where there's been a wee bit of adversity and we've bounced back. My mind goes back to even recently against Morton at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You take the lead twice and then you're pegged back and you go and get the winning goal. So no, it's a good reflection of the boys in the group, and obviously the gaffer drives that. And
obviously Mikey for the last 2 matches has scored the goals for you. It must be so good to have a player like that back.
Aye, I mean it's. I think it's probably, if you ask the gaffer, it's probably a nightmare in terms of he needs to make the decisions in terms of his selections. But if you look at the forward players, I mean, right across the pitch, but especially in forward areas now with the options that we've got, and everybody brings their own, attributes as well. So no, Mikey's been brilliant, and it's good to see him back. He's been working hard. He's been really good in training, and as the gaffer says, that's why he earned his opportunity, and he's been able to take them the last couple of weeks.
Talk to us about your time so far since January. I mean, the club's actually done pretty well.
Definitely, it was one of them. When I spoke to the gaffer, obviously I know him and Jim really well for working with him before, and when I spoke to him, I knew that the gaffer's really ambitious and wants to do well and wants to be successful. And when I came into the club, he showed me about the club, and I seen that myself first hand, that the facilities and everything's done right and to be successful. So it was something that I wanted to be part of, and I mean it's not what they're doing so far. So long may it continue.
See, going into the match, in terms of their game tomorrow, I mean, managing to get the 3 points on Tuesday, do you find that sort of plays a psychological edge?
Probably more so for us as a team rather than the opponents and as a game, because as I say, everybody's gone in the now, whether you've played somebody recently, everybody's gone in with the same objective to try and pick something up for the game. So, but I think psychologically we need to use it to a benefit in terms of we're on a half decent run, as you say. We've had a couple of victories in the last couple of weeks, and that should spur us on to use that as a platform to go and get another one.
It's been great to talk to you, mate.
Likewise, mate.
Thank you very much.
There we go. That was Ricky Lamy talking to Reagan about this morning about the game tomorrow against Ayr United. Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy. He played with Motherwell. He played Dundee Derby, Martindale, Livingston. He's been about the Premier League as well. So no, Ricky Lamy's a good guy.
I know, and yeah, so look out for Robin Reagan. That Grissom Twosome, Charlie, tomorrow at the game. It should be a good game as well. It should be a good game tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Morton against Packet Fizzle. Just come back to the Confirming game, guys, for a minute. Confirming and Ray Forbes. Do you think Neil Lennon's team will be on a bit of a high still after beating Aberdeen last week, but also beating Hibs, Charlie, and obviously like they're one game away from a final now?
Of course, they'll be buzzing for this game, but they have just got to be. They've got to have a sense of calmness about them. They've got to kind of know their level. They've got to know that they have been inconsistent for a lot of the season. They have been, and I think that has been why the championship's been so open for places in that playoff spot. And look, Dunfermline will have amputations of finishing in that top four and really kicking on and try and getting back to the Premiership, which another club which would be absolutely brilliant to have in the Premiership as well. But yeah, of course they'll be confident going into tomorrow's game, especially because they are at home. As already mentioned, the away team does normally struggle in this fixture. But yeah, it'll be a great game and one that I'm unfortunately going to be missing.
Reagan, just to finish up our championship roundup today and for this week on the show, do you expect Packet Thistle could get anything tonight in Morton, even though it's a kind of depleted squad? I mean, I thought they played okay last week against Mirren in the cup.
I think they actually played some really good football. I think tonight, Michael, I'm going to go for Morton 1, Partick Thistle 1.
Oh, yep, I will go 2-1 Packet Thistle. Charlie?
I'm going to go with 1-0 Partick Thistle.
1-0 Packet Thistle. Before we finish, I'll go back to where we kind of started, Reagan. Obviously, there was terrible scenes I broke last week after the penalty shout. Celtic go through the semi-finals, but it's not something that we want to see in Scottish football. What was your take on that, Reagan?
To be honest with you, Michael, I was hoping you would mention it, but I think it was pretty bad scenes. I think that's not what people actually go to football for. They go to football to watch football and enjoy it. I think I do agree with what Martin O'Neill said. I think the fans should still be allowed to be in Celtic and Rangers Stadium. I just think the small minority of Celtic and Rangers fans have ruined it for the actual normal people like me, like me, you and Charlie. You know, we only go to watch the football because we enjoy the football. And okay, three of us support a club, but well, we also like to see Scottish football doing well as well. So I don't think it's a good thing overall, to be honest with you, Michael.
Yeah, and I just think as well, Charlie, you know, like we're on a bit of a high at the moment in terms of Scottish football. Like a 3-way tie at the top, obviously Rangers, Celtic, and Hearts. And Motherwell, maybe people might say that out of it. Depends on how they go on tomorrow at Celtic Park. Scotland qualifying for the World Cup, so everything's going in the right direction. And obviously, you seen these scenes last week at Ibrox. It was terrible.
Very much so. And it's ugly scenes, as has been described by a lot of people, and exactly that. And I don't really get the argument. This is a lot of people have said, "Oh, this is what you want to see: more eyes on the game," and that. But it's not great eyes on the game. No, it's people looking at the Scottish game and looking down on it from this aspect. It's not from down. I don't really care about what people from down south say, but you look at people from around the world are looking at this and you think it's just amateurs football. It's stuff you'd see at under 17, under 16s level. You don't see this in men's football. And the amount that people got assaulted after the game, the Celtic fitness coach got, you would have to say, a rugby tackle. Stewart's getting knocked out and getting carried off the pitch. There's just so many cases, fans fighting each other in the pitch. It was a brawl that you just don't need in Scottish football.
Yeah, no, we don't need in Scottish football, as Charlie says. Thanks to Charlie, thanks to Regan, and thanks to Robbie joining us early on in the show. We will be back, of course, on Sunday to look back at the games of the weekend here on the Scottish Football Zone. So if you haven't done so, but please do like and subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone, and we will be back, of course, on Sunday to look back in the game.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.